Hello, I am a nocturnal pagan, and I am going to be talking about the elements today, and what they mean to me, and how I use them in my practice. Now, I'm going to cover the first four, which I believe everybody believes in first, being fire, water, earth, and air. Now, in my personal practice, I believe in two additional elements, being light and dark. And when I say that, I don't mean good and evil. What I mean is the physical elements of light and dark. For example, when we wake up in the morning, there's light. We didn't do anything to do it. The world does it naturally. And normally when we go to bed, it's dark. And again, we didn't do anything to do that. It just happened naturally. I believe these to be natural forces. I don't believe them to be representations of good and evil. Good and evil, in my opinion, are it's too in-depth of a topic to make it that black and white. I don't believe we can look at every individual thing in the world and be like, this is good, that is bad. Simply because something that I believe to be good doesn't necessarily mean that someone else believes it to be good. And vice versa. I don't think it's that cut and dry. Second thing I want to talk about is how I use these elements when I'm casting. Primarily what I will do is, depending on what I am trying to cast, will depend on which element I channel. For example, if I am trying to cast a protection spell, I will channel Earth. And that's because I see Earth as this unmoving, powerful, strong force. And it gives that protection an extra oomph. Almost like I actually built a brick wall around the place, individual, whatever, to protect them. Now, if I want something to go with the flow and take the path of least resistance, I'll channel something like water. To where this concept becomes a little bit more difficult, which I'll talk about in a moment, is when we combine them. But first, I want to go through the rest of the elements just so you kind of have an idea. So, fire, I see it as this type of source of power and energy, if you will, because in reality, that's what a fire is. So, again, with a protection spell, if I want to give that protection spell a little bit extra oomph, I don't necessarily want it to be like a brick wall, but I want it to be a strong spell, I will channel fire. Air, I see it as something that is all around, but something that we can't grasp. It's here, we can feel it, we inhale it, but it's not something you can grab. So I will channel air when I am casting a spell to help let go of something or get past something. Say, like, a bridge got burned, metaphorically. Like in between you and someone you care about, and you're having a hard time moving on. If you need a spell for such a thing, channeling air, in my experience, can help. It's the element of freedom. It helps break those shackles that are tying you down. And then we get to the hard ones, light and dark. Light, I see it as a warmth. When I'm trying to make a spell more intimate or personal and trying to make sure that person knows I'm there for them. Or just, trying to make yourself feel better. Sometimes you need just that personal hug. That is when I will channel light. Now, when I want the opposite, something, I think someone needs help, but I feel like them knowing I'm helping them will hurt the situation more than it will help. Very rare occurrence. I will channel darkness to make that spell equally as powerful but more subtle. It's not in your face, the problem is solved. It's kind of like, I really wish I had the money to do X or Y. Example, not something I would waste the spell on, but for an example. Maybe it might make a $20 bill just blow into your path. Not, hey, you won the lotto, but something subtle. That type of subtlety. It's helping, but it's not making itself known. The other way that you can channel these to cast is by just imagining those elements doing whatever you want them to do. So like with the protection spell on Earth again, imagining this earth wall or earth barrier coming around your target to protect them. Then we get into combining the elements, which is the next thing I want to talk about. It's pretty much the same thing, but instead, let's go back to that protection spell. You want something that's strong but flexible. You would combine earth with water. And for a specific example of something I would use this for would be like, I want this protection spell to protect the individual from the negative energies that are affecting them or the negativities that are going on, but I also want it to let the good things in. Combining those two elements can help with that. By all means, you can do that with just one element, but it, to me, feels stronger and more natural when you combine them. And it doesn't just have to be two elements, it can be three. If you combine earth, fire, and air, you create dust. And dust is good for covering a very large area quickly. And it's got that strength boost from fire, it's got that defensive properties from earth, and it has the swiftness of wind. It's combining those three together to make the spell more efficient than just having one do it. And that's the primary concept behind combining them and channeling them that way. Now, of course, there are some people that don't channel them at all. There are some that only use them to cast a circle, and that's perfectly fine as well. This is just a different way of doing it and how I implement it. It works for me. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. That is the best thing about paganism as a whole. This is your personal path, and I'm on my personal path. We don't have to do everything the same, but I do want this out there for people to hear and kind of think about. Maybe it's something you want to try. Maybe you're sitting there with a pitchfork going heretic. That's fine. Whatever you believe, do what works for you. The final thing I want to talk about the elements with is that I believe that at some point in our life we are all given a compound element that we are the most efficient with. So, for example, I am personally lightning, which is a combination of light and fire. Now, something a lot of people ask when they hear about this is, can I only use elements that I am affiliated with? No. I'm a nocturnal practitioner. While I am naturally affiliated with light, I rarely use light. It's not for me. I am a nocturnal individual. Obviously, the dark energy is more prominent at night. It's more effective to use because it's more abundant at that time. Light energy is there, but it is not as abundant at the time that I am practicing. So it becomes less efficient for me to focus on light. Which I might have said earlier, but I'm going to say it again just in case. You don't always have to channel them for a specific purpose. You can channel an element just by imagining that element doing the job. So with darkness, since it's more abundant and easier for me to use at the time of my practice, I see a lot of shadows going out and doing whatever I ask. So if it's a protection spell, instead of a barrier of earth, it's a barrier of shadows. And I have an easier time with that because of practicing during the mental quiet hours than creating a barrier of light. Whatever you are drawn to, do. Just because you are affiliated with one and it should be easier to use doesn't mean you have to use it. With this practice, I do what feels right to me. Fire I'll use every now and again, but primarily I use dark because there's no prep to using dark other than do it at night. And that being said, you don't even have to do it at night. You can channel darkness during the day, and you can channel light during the night. I don't, but you can. Well, I shouldn't say I don't. I do it on occasion, but not often. And I don't use light magic that often because at noon is probably about the best time to do that. When the sun's dead center in the sky, you got the most light for the day. That's probably the best time to do it. That's when I'm waking up. It's not for me. I could wake up right away and start doing something, but I feel like at that point it's rushed and not worth doing. So that's why I wait for mental quiet hours, and that's when I practice. With that is everything I want to say. Hopefully you gathered something from this. Let me know what you think. Maybe it's a new concept to you. Maybe it's something you've known for years and didn't think it needed to be said. Just let me know. I'm more than happy to have a conversation in the comment section, and thank you.